Hi there, Eric Bakker, Naturopath. We're talking about mold today. We're doing a series of videos on mold exposure, mold toxicity. So what are some surefire signs or some red flags? By red flags I mean what's really standing out? How do you know you can zoom in on someone who's got a mold problem? Well, I tend to look particularly at people that have got really weird symptoms or strange symptoms, or people that have been to 10 doctors or 20 doctors and told they're crazy. So this is what I've commonly seen with candida patients for years. And even people with SIBO a long time ago, even 30 years ago when I was working with people with parasites in their gut or bacterial problems, people were also told that they were crazy, there was nothing wrong with them. Only now are doctors starting to pay a little bit of attention to the microbiome. So what are some red flags? Well, do smells bother you really bad, especially, odors? Musty odors, or you walk into a room and you immediately feel sick or you just don't feel good. Not because the cat did a poop in the corner or something like that, but I'm talking more about a mold problem, all right? So think about it. Do you live in an older home or do you live in a newly constructed home? Think logically and carefully about this for a minute. Did the condition come on or happen when you shifted to a new place? There could be a red flag. When you stayed at your boyfriend's house or your mother's house in Washington State, for example, that was leaking or old or cold or drafty, did you get sick then and never been well since? Did you go on vacation and stay in an old shack somewhere and then came back home and you immediately improved? So think carefully about your living environment. That could well be a red flag. But also the odors, the smells, because musty smells for healthy people don't mean much, but for people with mold problem, they can mean incredible amount of problem. Have you lived or worked in a building where the air vents or ceiling tiles were discolored? Think about that. Sometimes you've got those tiles, they can have a bit of like yellow or red or sort of brown, like water leakage on them. Have you ever been in a house like that or lived in a house like that? That could be part of the problem. That's a red flag. Ceiling should be beautiful and white and clean. There should be no marks on the ceiling or the cornice or the drywall. Everything should be clean and tidy. The household should be warm and dry and not drafty or cold. There shouldn't be air coming up from cracks, around windows or doors or floors or things like that. Have you noticed water damage or discoloration anywhere? It could be in the basement, could be pipes. One of my patients in Chicago recently mentioned that he lived in a house for years and his wife always had this cough and sneeze and she always had this sinus problem. He went down in the basement and he was horrified to see how much black and blue was all around the walls he hadn't been in for years. So they immediately vacated the house and within a week the wife really improved, significantly improved. So those are the sort of things that you need to look at. Poke around and have a good look around the house. You might find a flag popping out in front of you. We mentioned the leaky roof. What about shortness of breath? Again, you've moved to a new house or you've had some work done on your property and then some time goes by and you can't breathe properly. You seem to have this shortness or this wheeze or you've developed asthma. Think about it. You've started a new job or you've moved to a new property and all of a sudden you develop asthma. You think, well, that's not really right. Why did I develop asthma or wheezing for? Sinus infections. This is a big one. Okay, aspergillus, for example. Allergic fungal sinusitis, AFS. AFS is very common with people who live in moldy buildings. Many people I've seen over the years have got sinus problem, which disappeared when they shifted house or had the repair work done. Flu-like symptoms, aching joints, tired, brain fog, feeling totally washed out. It could be a mold problem. That could be a red flag. And the other one is, which is often discounted, is frequent headaches. So recurring headaches, especially with blurry vision. The senses can get very affected by mycotoxins as well. There are several types of toxins that are produced by a handful of different kinds of yeasts or fungus that can really create a problem with people. And these mycotoxins can also affect behavior and thinking to a high degree. So think about some of those red flags we spoke about, especially if you've moved to a new house or you've developed disease, a problem when you've done a shift, either a work shift or a living shift, or even if you've been in an existing house for a prolonged period of time but slowly developed this condition, but nobody could find out what the heck was wrong with you. That's often put your thinking cap on, move out to someone else's house for several days to see if there's a diminishing of the symptoms. this could really help you, and it has helped many people I know over the past several years. Thanks for tuning in.